Boston Dynamics has a new gadget. It's a robot that looks like a huge overhead projector on wheels. There it is at work. It's called Stretch. It doesn't dance, doesn't do backflips, nothing too fancy here. It has one task: moving boxes, as you can see. It sounds pretty boring, but it could become the company's most successful commercial product and actually turn Boston Dynamics into a profitable company. Joining us now is Boston Dynamics CEO, Robert Playter. Robert, good to have you here. So Stretch is pretty cool. Tell us the idea behind it, and what do you hope to do with this robot?
Well, Stretch was built specifically for the warehousing industry. It's the first mobile robot for doing box pick and place tasks anywhere in the warehouse. And we're going to start with truck unloading. It's a huge job. It's a repetitive job, and we think there's a lot of it.
All right. So, Robert, given the commercial applications, very obviously, as you're mentioning, in warehouses, loading and unloading those boxes, I think the first thing that people think about is that their jobs are going to be replaced. You know, so many folks work in warehouses and in logistics around the country. Do you at all sometimes weigh the implications of some of your inventions of what Stretch might do to some of those lower income workers who are working in warehouses at places like Amazon or Walmart, for example?
Well, we are thinking about that. And specifically, we want to make sure that Stretch is easy to use by anybody. And so while Stretch is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting of unloading a truck, it's also it's a power tool for those people on the warehouse floor to do more, so that instead of them doing all of the manual labor, they're going to operate Stretch instead. It's really going to be like a power tool that will amplify their own productivity.
I know that Stretch is pretty new here to the market, but I'm wondering if you already have companies who have committed to using it, because like Kristin said, I think our first thought is those big warehouses. I mean, this would be a dream come true for Amazon. I know a lot of their workers are now looking to unionize. You know, robots don't unionize, last I heard. So are you talking to Amazon specifically, or can you share with us who you're talking with to start using Stretch?
Well, we just announced Stretch publicly in the last couple of weeks. There's been a huge outpouring of interest. So we are talking to several companies. We're trying to identify a small set that we're going to work with really to launch the product and make sure that we enter this market successfully. So there is a lot of interest. But again, you know, the turnover rates in this industry are high. These companies all want to grow faster than often they can find a stable workforce for. So I don't think, when I talk to the companies, they don't see a net reduction in labor. Instead, they see an opportunity to grow at the pace they want to.
Robert, I want to pivot just a little bit. I'm curious to know if the pandemic at all has changed how Boston Dynamics, view what's really needed in the world of robotics, or even perhaps changed the direction that you guys might even be going for some of the robots or some of the applications that you're thinking about for some of the robots that you've made.
It certainly made us all realize that remote work, I believe, is here to stay. And one of the things a robot can do is provide a physical presence on a site that maybe you can't physically be there, or maybe it's just more efficient or safe for the robot to be there and for you to be in your home. And so there's a real amplifier of potential, I think, by robots working remotely, and people have realized that working through a robot is even something they can accept. We did an experiment with Spot on the intake at some COVID hospitals early in the pandemic, and found that up to 90% of the patients were happy to work through the interface of a robot if it felt like it helped them and the doctors safer. And so I think adoption of this technology, people are more ready for it, probably because of the pandemic, and maybe they see the need for it.
All right, well, pretty cool stuff. We all agree. Robert Playter, CEO of Boston Dynamics, thanks for being with us.